842, Big 550, KTRS. Greg Warren is a comedian he's the biggest comedian going. He's from St. Louis. He lives in New York, and he's at the Funny Bone all this week. Starts tonight, runs through Sunday night. Greg Warren, welcome back, Big 550, KTRS.
Good to see you guys again.
You and I will be forever linked, you know. We can talk about our experiences on Marshall,
the
Miracle Dog.
Movie stars together.
Yes,
So
exactly.
you were in that movie, too.
I was, actually, yeah.
And what was your role?
I played an assistant baseball coach. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was based on a character I've done in my act. It's that, it's based on an assistant football coach. You know the guy that's been at your school coaching for like 50 years, and he doesn't know anything about football? Like he just interrupts the head coach during the pregame speech. Like the coach would be like, all right, guys, bring it in. Listen up. For some of you seniors, this may be the last time you ever play football. So I suggest you go out. Guys, we need to get those permission slips signed for the banquet. Because there's 89 of you boys and only 11 of you have turned them in. That's not going to cut it, fellas. That's all I got, Coach. Back to you.
So he was the assistant coach. I was the mayor of the town.
Yep.
And Kelly, I don't know if you know how Hollywood works, but we didn't work
school me
together.
on
So we're actually in the same movie, but we didn't work
You
together.
crossed
Shoot out a
really
sequence.
past.
Yes.
sometimes.
So
Yeah.
were your trailers in different spots, too? You know, those
I
cushy
think
trailers?
that we maybe could have had the same trailer, given that we were not shooting on the same day. But yeah.
How's life treating you?
It's good. Yeah,
Good?
yeah, it's going well.
Now you're back. How often are you back here in St. Louis?
Well, I usually work about 1 week a year doing shows, but I'm back probably, with stuff like the movie and seeing my parents
Right.
and holiday. It's usually like 7-8 times a year.
Yeah.
I hope that's always the case. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like coming back.
Yeah. So, all right. So, you're based out of New York.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you're on the road. How many times a year? I mean,
I'd say it's the days are about half the days of the year.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
and then how often do you work in New York?
probably most of those other days. When I'm in New York, that's what I do.
And-
It's
and-
almost like my social life is to go do stand-up comedy.
And so, do you just go to a club and try and work on a material? On Tuesday night at 9:00 at night, you get
Sure.
10 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes it's the Comedy Cellar, which is sort of like the best club in the world. It's,
Right.
Usually if I get a spot there, and it's not that often, but when I do, it's like midnight. you
Right.
know? Yeah, and it's still pretty awesome there.
Yeah. I when I go to New York, I love going to the comedy clubs just to try and find or see one of you guys come in late night. And you never know who you get. It's a grab bag. You might get somebody big like you, or some nobody working on stuff. That's half the fun.
Well, that's kind of you to put it that way, but the big guys that come in are much bigger than me. I was working on a TV set a few weeks ago, and I was going around the city to try to run it. And one night they were like, "Hey, you gotta hold on a second. Somebody's going up before you." And it was Seinfeld.
Just a little known comic.
Yeah. And then Gaffigan was on that same show, and then I went to do it at another place, and Louis C.K. was on that show. So yeah, I've.
So now, do you interact with those guys, or is it
Some of them.
just hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
If they want to, I usually don't bug them.
Because it's kind of like the playground. The locker room in the playground. You're like, hey, what's up? Because you don't want to be, oh my God, there you are. But you got to be cool and kind of cool. You want to be respectful and
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants a piece of those guys, but they're usually pretty cool.
Right.
So
yeah.
different cities, obviously. Do you have to change your routine up for the different cities and the humor?
Yeah, when I'm working in Bangladesh, like I have to do like a little like the language is a little different, but other than that,
Have you ever been in Denver and said, Omaha, I love you. You guys are great.
I mean, I think to be honest, like New York is probably the only place that I work that's different, and I can do a lot of that stuff out here, but some of the stuff out here doesn't. It's got a different pacing to it. But
Is it a tougher crowd, New York?
Yeah, I think sometimes, and sometimes it's a lot of tourists, and a lot of them are European, and they don't speak English, honestly. So it's tricky. I'm like, why is this not working? It's like, oh yeah.
Why aren't they getting it?
When you write a joke, Greg Warren appearing at the Funny Bone, starts tonight, runs through Sunday. When you're writing a joke, do you sit down and write it, or do you try and do something else, and while you're showering, a joke comes to you? How does a joke come to you?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I
Yeah.
mean, I think from my process, I try to journal a lot, like just sort of free write in a notebook. and I think a lot of your listeners might be falling asleep right now.
I'm not, so I don't care.
Explaining my writing process. But yeah, no, and then when that happens, but you have to do that on a regular basis.
Right.
And then those ideas in the shower hit you.
Because comedy is really, when you get right down to it, comedy is just honesty.
Yeah, I think so. It's being truthful, and then I think noticing your surroundings, which you'd be surprised like how you can go through like 4 or 5 days without paying attention to what's going on in your life.
That's
And
right.
then I have to remind myself, this is your only job. Just stop looking at the phone and look around.
Right.
You know,
observe life.
especially in the city, like things will happen, and I'll be like, "Oh, wow, that was," and then I'm like, "No, dummy, that's probably something you should write about." Like I was walking one day, sort of on the Upper East Side. I was walking, and I passed this guy, and he goes, "Yo, brother, you want to buy some steaks?"
What do you have him in his coat?
Yeah, no, and I gotta wonder what the success rate of that sales pitch would be. Like that would have to be a very specific situation. A guy would have to be like, you know what, I'm in the market for some steaks, but I don't want to go the traditional route. I'm just gonna start walking, see if anybody offers me some steaks, and if they don't, I was not meant to have steak. And to your point, no, he did not have any steaks with him. They were not in his coat. Like I guess I would have had to follow him to a second location to actually procure the steaks. And I got to tell you, I don't think there was any steaks there either. Like this guy may not have even been a licensed steak salesman. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud.
So, is that grade A, FDA approved, or is that?
I don't think so. I got to be honest with you. I don't think it was. I also like. I was walking one day, and I wrestled when I was in college, and I was walking, and I hear this guy behind me, and he goes, "Hey, what are you looking at, man?" And I turned around, which don't do that. It was a crazy guy, so I just keep walking. He sprints a block and a half. He goes, "I was talking to you. Don't walk away from me." I go, "Man, I don't even know who you are. Just forget it." And I turned to walk away. Boom, jacked me like right in this. Yeah, he punched me hard. I haven't been hit in a long time. I got to be honest with you. Like at first, like the 46-year-old version of me was like, I'm just gonna finish up my walk. That's what I'm gonna do. and then like the younger version kicked in, and I remembered that I wrestled, and I wrestled him in New York City. We had a match. Like I shot a single leg takedown to the right side.
Sure, yeah.
I picked his leg up here.
2-point takedown.
Yeah, like you're supposed to, and he went right down. Like between the three of it, like he sucked. He was terrible. Like I guarantee this guy never made it past districts. He was awful. And then I flipped out. Like I'm screaming in the middle of New York City. I'm like, "Why'd you hit me? Why'd you?" Like if somebody would have walked by, they'd been like, "There's a crazy guy getting beat up by a really crazy guy or girl."
There's some guy wrestling some poor guy to the ground.
Yeah. So that's a day in New York.
There you go.
Yeah.
Greg Warren, comedian, St. Louis guy, based out of New York, but comes back to like a good boy. Comes back and sees his parents and his buddies and stops by. You're always welcome here. Funny Bone tonight through Sunday. Should be a lot of fun. Greg Warren, thanks for stopping by.
Oh, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, always a pleasure. You're always welcome here.
Yeah, I like the new digs, man.
Yeah, nice. Website, anything else coming on we should plug for you?
GregWarrenComedy.com. I'm going to be on the Late Late Show, which used to be Craig Ferguson.
Right.
And it's moving to a guy named James Corden.
Sure.
But in the meantime, they're having some guest hosts.
Okay.
And my buddy Billy Gardell from Mike and Molly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's guest hosting one of them, and he asked me to do stand-up on it. So
Beautiful.
I'm going to do that in
Awesome.
February.
We'll look for that. Greg, have a good trip.
Thanks a lot, you guys.
8:51. Jennifer Williams will talk a little small business next on KTRS.